Welcome back to Beyond the Gates Recap, the channel where every whisper behind the walls of Fairmont Crest becomes a revelation. Where luxury conceals the sins of the elite, and every smile hides a secret worth killing for. Today, we dive into the week that shattered the illusion of peace within the Dupree family, a week soaked in grief, deception, and the slow unraveling of power. This is not just a story of wealth and reputation, it is a descent into the heart of darkness, where love becomes a weapon, and truth becomes the most dangerous enemy of all. The week began with silence, the kind of silence that feels like it's holding its breath. In Fairmont Crest, silence is rare, it usually follows the echo of scandal or the shadow of tragedy. This time, it came after death. Someone familiar to every resident was gone, taken suddenly, without warning. The authorities called it an accident, but no one believed them. Rumors spread faster than sympathy, twisting through manicured gardens and marble hallways. No one dared speak the name of the dead, the identity was being withheld until the weekend, but everyone knew that grief, in this community, was always personal. And as always, suspicion found its way to the Dupree estate. The Duprees had always stood at the center of Fairmont Crest, a dynasty wrapped in charm and philanthropy, their family crest etched into the very gates of the community. But beneath their prestige ran veins of resentment, greed, and long-buried secrets that refused to die. Every tragedy, every scandal, somehow returned to them, as if the house itself demanded payment for its grandeur. In the aftermath of the death, Kat Dupree became the first to break the fragile calm. She stood before her family, her hands trembling but her voice unflinching, and revealed the secret that had consumed her for months, a hidden relationship she could no longer bear to keep in the dark. She believed that honesty would set her free, that truth would cleanse her conscience. But in Fairmont Crest, truth is the beginning of ruin. The reaction was not outrage, nor forgiveness, it was the suffocating quiet of judgment. The silence from her mother, Anita Dupree, was more devastating than any words could have been. Kat thought she had chosen freedom, but what she received instead was isolation. And worse, betrayal. Because the man she loved, the one she risked everything to defend, had been hiding something even darker. He knew something about the death that had rocked their world. He had been there, or close enough to it to lie about what he saw. Kat's revelation didn't save her, it unmasked her vulnerability. The person she thought she knew became a stranger, and every shared moment turned to poison in her mind. Her love had become her undoing. Elsewhere in the house, Joey sat in the glow of surveillance monitors, the pale blue light staining his face like guilt. He had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. One click, one decision. And he had altered the course of everything. He had edited the security footage from the night of the death. He had done it to protect someone, to save them from suspicion, but in doing so, he had condemned someone else. He told himself it was for love. But love, in Fairmont Crest, was just another form of control. Every frame he deleted echoed in his mind. He could still see it, the blurred movement by the pool, the sudden lurch, the splash that followed. Someone had been there, someone close. But Joey erased it all, and with it, the truth. He became both savior and sinner in one breath. The footage was gone now, overwritten, but the guilt remained heavy, breathing down his neck every time he closed his eyes. Eva Dupree, ever the peacemaker, thought she could bring order to chaos. She believed in appearances, in structure, in keeping things tidy, not just in the house, but in the family's image. So when she received advice from someone she trusted, telling her that transparency was the key to protection, she followed it. She submitted a set of financial documents to the authorities, thinking it would shield the family from blame. But what she didn't realize was that those documents contained the seeds of destruction. Within days, whispers turned into headlines, Dupree investments under investigation. The name that once opened doors was now a curse. Carlton Dupree, the family's heir apparent, became the face of the scandal. His reputation, meticulously crafted, polished like a trophy, crumbled under the weight of accusation. The irony was unbearable. He had spent his entire life defending the family name, and now it was his own that burned. And the cruelest part, the anonymous whistleblower who had triggered the investigation was someone from within. When he discovered it was Eva, his sister, his confidant, something inside him broke. Not with rage, but with grief so sharp it cut deeper than anger ever could. The betrayal was too intimate, too human. He looked at her and saw not a sister but a mirror reflecting his own naivety back at him. He had trusted blood, and blood had betrayed him. By midweek, the Dupree home was a battlefield disguised as a mansion. Politeness became armor, silence, a weapon. They dined together as though nothing had happened, every movement measured, every smile rehearsed. Beneath the table, fists clenched. Beneath the surface, hearts fractured. Vanessa, who had long been a shadow in the house, decided she could no longer bear the weight of secrets. She had lived with one too many, and the latest death had pulled at a thread she could no longer ignore. When she confessed to Donnell that she had once been involved with Joey, the same Joey who had altered the footage, she felt both freed and destroyed. Donnell's silence was not forgiveness. It was the sound of something ending. Vanessa knew, in that moment, that the confession she believed would cleanse her had only condemned her further. Fairmont Crest had its own gravity, it pulled sinners toward their punishment, no matter how much they struggled. Meanwhile, Naomi, a longtime confidant of the family, confronted Jacob, the son of the deceased. Her voice was low, controlled, but her eyes carried the truth that no one else dared speak. The death wasn't random. It was the fulfillment of an old promise, revenge that had been whispered through generations, a debt finally collected. Jacob listened without a word, but something inside him shifted. Naomi saw it, the spark of vengeance being reborn. The cycle that she had once hoped to end had simply found a new heir. As the week crawled toward its grim conclusion, the air in Fairmont Crest thickened with paranoia. Every conversation carried double meaning. Every glance was a question. Joey stopped sleeping. Kat stopped eating. Carlton stopped believing in justice. Eva stopped speaking altogether. And then the name of the deceased was finally released. Marcus Dupree. The youngest. The innocent. The one who had always stood apart from the games of power and deceit. The announcement hit like a thunderclap through the family. But what the press called a tragic accident in the pool was anything but. Joey knew that better than anyone. Because in the unedited footage, the one he destroyed, Marcus didn't fall. He was pushed. And the hand that sent him over the edge belonged to someone whose face Joey would never forget. Guilt became his shadow. Every sound reminded him of the splash that ended Marcus's life. Every breath felt stolen. He wanted to confess, but confession would mean dragging Kat down with him, and despite everything, he still loved her. So he chose silence, and silence began to rot his soul. Kat, meanwhile, turned her grief into obsession. She needed someone to blame, someone to destroy. The loss of Marcus, the betrayal of her lover, the coldness of her family, all of it fused into a single purpose, vengeance. Carlton, cornered by scandal, began to see conspiracies everywhere. He believed the financial exposure was orchestrated to distract from Marcus's death. He accused Eva, then Naomi, even his mother. The Dupree family dinners became interrogations. The house was no longer a home, it was a crime scene haunted by the living. Eva, broken by what she had unleashed, found herself drawn to Naomi for comfort. But Naomi's sympathy was laced with resentment. She carried too many memories of the past, of debts unpaid, of promises broken. She knew the truth, this family had always been cursed, bound by the very secrets they thought protected them. By the weekend, the estate of Fairmont Crest stood like a mausoleum. The lawns were immaculate, but beneath the soil lay decay, moral, emotional, spiritual. Everyone within those walls had something to hide, and each secret was a fuse waiting to ignite. The night before the new week began, storm clouds rolled over the crest. The lights in the Dupree mansion flickered, the air electric with tension. Somewhere inside, Joey sat in the dark, his hands trembling over a hard drive, the last backup of the footage he swore no one would ever see. He thought of deleting it for good, but he couldn't. The truth had already taken root inside him, whispering, demanding release. Kat stood by the window of her room, staring at the reflection of her own face, a stranger staring back. Eva wept quietly behind locked doors. Carlton watched the storm and thought about redemption, or revenge, he could no longer tell the difference. Naomi waited for the inevitable. Vanessa prayed for forgiveness that would never come. And in the stillness between thunderclaps, it became clear, Fairmont Crest was no longer a place. It was a purgatory. The living were the condemned, each carrying their own private sentence. The week ended as it began, with silence. But this silence was different. It wasn't the calm before chaos. It was the pause before confession, before blood, before another truth clawed its way to the surface. Because in Fairmont Crest, no secret stays buried forever. And the next death might not be an accident. This has been Beyond the Gates Recap, bringing you the hidden sins and unfolding tragedies behind the walls of Fairmont Crest. If you want to uncover what happens next, the revenge, the manipulation, the next shocking twist, make sure to follow and subscribe for more updates. The gates may close, but the story never ends.